Greetings to examiners. My student ID is 20074248, and now I'm going to advising my client Faisal Ali on whether he has any claims that he can bring and any remedies if his claims are successful. First of all, in order for my client to claim remedies under the Equality Act 2010, he must first be an employee of the Create Advertising Company. According to the multiple tests which laid down in the case of Ready Mix Concrete Limited versus Minister of Pensions and National Insurance 1967, Justice McKenna held that in order for an individual to be an employee, the worker must agree to provide own work in return for consideration. Furthermore, the worker will be subject to control to a sufficient degree. Moreover, other provisions of contract are consistent with contract of employment. Also, personal service is an essential element of employee status. Without it, unlikely a person will be an employee. Based on the fact, it shows that Faisal Ali has been an account executive for 2 years in Create Advertising Company. It is highly unlikely that the position of an account executive can send a substitute to do the work. Also, there must be an existence of an employment contract between Create Advertising Company and my client in order for my client to work in the past 2 years. Therefore, my client has fulfilled the test and it is an employee of the company. The first claim that Faisal Ali can claim is harassment on race. According to Section 26, Sub 1 of Equality Act 2010, harassment is an unwanted conduct which has the purpose of violating the claimant's dignity, creating an intimidating or offensive environment of that person via verbal, written words, image of, or by facial expression. The test for harassment will be focusing at the claimant's perception and whether it is reasonable for the conduct to have the effect which laid down in Section 26 Sub 4 under the Equality Act 2010. Based on the fact, James Ponsonby, the team leader and line manager of Faisal Ali, has frequently made fun of Faisal's accent at team meetings and also suggests that Faisal Ali has secretly attended a terrorist training camp in Pakistan. Due to my client, it is the only non-white employee in the team. All this action had made my client found very upsetting. Moreover, my client has tried to object James, but James claimed that it was just a bit of banter. All those actions brought by James had sufficiently fulfilled the harassment test. Since harassment is a prohibited conduct and James had humiliated Faisal, therefore it is reasonable for my client Faisal Ali to brought a claim against James in regards to the violation of Section 26 of Equality Act 2010. The remedies that can be brought by Faisal under harassment on race are compensations which include injury to feelings and a recommendation brought by court to recommend employer to take steps to reduce effects of harassment on the claimants. This claim can be brought against James, the perpetrator. The second claim that Faisal Ali can brought against James is direct discrimination on race. According to Section 13 of Equality Act 2010, direct discrimination is another prohibited conduct which occurs when the claimant is treated less favorably because of a prohibited characteristic. Based on the fact my client is the only non-white employee, which is a different race between other employees. Therefore, even though Faisal and his team had worked so hard for the past 2 months on an advertising campaign for a new client, Faisal still did not have the chance to present to the client. This is because James told Faisal that he would not be required at the presentation. However, Faisal has discovered that all the rest of the team members has been invited. This action brought by James had led Faisal felt very disgusted and humiliated. Therefore, it is reasonable for my client to brought another claim against James due to James had violated Section 13 of the Equality Act 2010. The remedies that Faisal can brought under this claim are unlimited compensation which includes injury to feelings and a declaration on who prepared the work and who should do the presentation. All these remedies are also available and stated in the statute. The final claim that Faisal Ali can brought against James is victimization. According to Section 27 of Equality Act 2010, victimization is also another prohibited conduct which occurs to protect employees from being penalized for exercising their statutory rights to challenge discrimination. Based on the fact James had allowed his team to work from home at least 1 day per week. However, James was indignant and shocked to Faisal due to Faisal had filed a grievance to the HR department. James also announced that Faisal would no longer be able to work from home due to he had abused the privilege by viewing a flat that James was interested in buying. It can be seen that James subjected to Faisal to a detriment due to Faisal did a protected act according to Section 27 Sub 2 of Equality Act 2010, filing a grievance would qualify as a protected act. Furthermore, since Faisal didn't act in bad faith, it is reasonable to argue that victimization had taken place and the reason for Faisal had abused the privilege by viewing a flat that James was interested in buying was just an excuse for James to not allow Faisal to work from home. The action brought by James are sufficiently to be treated as victimization. Therefore, it is reasonable for my client, Faisal Ali, to brought a claim against James in regards to the violation of Section 27 of Equality Act 2010. The remedies can be brought under this claim are unlimited compensation, including injury to feelings and a declaration for Faisal to have the right to continue to work from home. Besides that, Faisal can brought claims against James. He also can brought a claim against his employer. According to Section 109 Equality Act 2010, employer is liable for discrimination by employees in the course of employment, whether he knew of their action or not. This principle also held in the case of James versus Tower Food Co Limited 1997. Therefore, this is my presentation. Thank you.